1. Okay,
Live?
we are now live again. Hopefully, we got this, I think. Hello. Hopefully I don't freeze up. That'll be great news. But we are here once again with Jackie, and she is going to talk with us about the word busy. Because when we use the word busy in a way of from a negative perspective, it completely shifts how life unfolds. So, Jackie, I'm going to let you take it away from here. Beautiful. And if comments and stuff come up, I will get them as we can.
Well, thank you. As Justine said, my name is Jackie Wickham, and I call myself a happiness coach. I have a group called Blessed, Not Busy, and that's exactly how we need to look at life. We, especially as women, wear our busyness as a badge of honor, but unfortunately, it is completely consuming us. That's kind of where this all started for me. I had learned over time to kind of cut out a lot of the crap and realizing that, sorry there, just it consumes us, and our days go, they fly by, our weeks fly by, our years fly by, and we're fully consumed with all this stuff that we have to do. And it's not fulfilling. It's not what we desire in life. It's not getting us any closer to our goals. It's, it's not serving the purpose of us having the best life that we can. And so many times that we do that, and year in and year out, you don't get anywhere. And I think, and one of the things that struck me one time where all this kind of started is that I have 2 children, they're in elementary. And I was there one day and I was talking to a mom about something, and she's like, well, I'm busy. And she's like, I know you hear that a lot, but she's like, I'm really busy. And then went through and told me everything she does. And then a few weeks later, I was talking to a couple moms, and they were talking about how busy they were. And it was almost like a competition of I'm busier than you, so therefore I'm worth more. My time's more valuable. Or it's all these things, you're looking to the outside world for all of this validation by proving that you're worth something because your schedule's full. And it's full of crap you don't want to be doing.
Right.
And that's really where Blessed Not Busy really came about, because it's not about, this isn't quick tips to organize your time. I'm not great at that. It's not quick tips to figure out how to shove more in a day. It's not that. It's about trying to figure out where that busyness comes from, why you're doing it. It's about eliminating the crap and learning to say no and not being a people pleaser, because so many of us do that, and it's just mind numbing. It doesn't serve you. And I mean mind numbing on your own point, not me watching you, but you doing it. And it's just, so much of this happens when we could be living a blessed life full. You're still going to have a full day, but have it be full of what you want it to be full of, stuff that you find fulfilling, that fills your cup instead of emptying it all the time.
Exactly. Yeah. And I struggle with it still to this day, but being a people pleaser. I've gotten better, especially since you've come into my world and I've listened to your live videos, because you're just kind of here you go. But why do you think people do that? Why do you think we put ourselves in this pressure from off the bat instead of really looking at life how it should be?
Well, I think as humans, we have this ultimate desire to be liked, and that's normal. I get that. I'm not saying that my desire is to not be liked. And it's all about happiness. Everything we desire in life, we do because we think that we're going to be happier because we have it. That's why you want every goal in life. That's why that is how every animal is designed that way, is that they are going for, it's a pleasure that you're trying to reach happiness. That's why I call myself a happiness coach, because ultimately that's what all of us want in life. But we look for happiness in the wrong places. We think that if we fulfill somebody else's needs, that'll make them happy, therefore that'll make me happy. And if they're happy, then I'm happy. And that's not how it works. Happiness comes from within. Whether or not they're happy should not determine your level of happiness. And that's how we look at it. And it's almost like that's how we're programmed. We get programmed as children. I mean, I find myself doing it to my kids, and I try to stop and be like, if they do this, this, and this, that's going to make mom happy. If they do this, this, and this, it's going to make their teacher happy. It's going to make dad happy. And if everyone else is happy around them, then they're good.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm not saying I don't do it to my children. I catch myself doing it to my children. And there's things that I correct and do, but I think that it happens at such a young age that we think, well, if everyone else is happy around us, then I'm doing my job. That's my job, is to keep everyone else happy. And we completely forget what makes us happy. We don't do the things that are fulfilling. And we're also like, it's the judgment thing. Well, then if I start to put myself first, then what are other people going to think? Or especially women and moms, we think that like, if we start putting ourselves first and taking care of our health and taking care of ourselves and doing the things that we want to do to fulfill our dream, that means letting somebody else down. And it doesn't have to. It doesn't mean you have to let the other things down. You start actually, I feel, when I start to do the things that I need to do that fill my cup, that make me feel better, and going after my goals and things like that, my family, like the true people around me, like my husband and my kids, they flourish. Like, I'm not ignoring them. I start to cut the other crap out in life that I don't need. Like, right. You start to really figure out, what are my core values? What are my priorities? And you cut that stuff out. And that's really the first key with being busy. Another part of it is too, and I've been reading about this a lot lately, and I just did a post in Blessed Not Busy this morning about it, is we have this feeling of, if we're constantly busy, we don't have to look at ourselves in the mirror. We don't have to actually face the trauma or the hurt or do the healing that we need that makes us whole, because we don't have time for it. And that's another thing with not putting ourselves first. If we put ourselves first, that's such an uncomfortable feeling for us, because we don't know that. And we don't like the unknown. Humans don't like the unknown. It's fearful. It's scary. It's full of stuff that we want control over that we can't control. And so we ignore it. And so it's ignoring this trauma and this hurt and whatever you've gone through. And we all have it. I don't care how beautiful your childhood was. My kids are going to have it. I don't know if I should be starting some sort of college fund or therapy fund. But it happens. It just, things happen to all of us, and we don't face it. We don't think because I wasn't beaten as a child, or I didn't go through sexual abuse, or I wasn't in foster care, or like, we think it has to be that level trauma. We think that it has to be like, these kids and families that you hear about, and you think that, like, you come from a divorced family, and so do I. And we think that, well, that's more than half the marriages. So what makes me special? So that's not really trauma. So I don't really need to face it. But right. When in reality, that is it. We all have it. And you always, to some level, I think, will, because you have that stuff made you who you are. You're exactly where you need to be. But that doesn't mean, to get to the next level of where you want to be, that you don't have to face some of that crap.
Right. Yeah.
And that's where I think the missing link is. When we talk about not being busy anymore, it's, if you go to Pinterest and talk about not being busy, it's 10 easy tricks to clear up your schedule. Well, that's all well and good, but if you're not looking at the person in the mirror, that's only going to get you so. You're just going to fill it with more crap, is what you're going to do.
Exactly. And that brings me into the next point I wanted to do, because do you mind me sharing a little bit about what you're doing at home now?
Oh, no. Go. Okay. No.
So Jackie is homeschooling her two boys, 1st and 4th grade.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Jackie's not a teacher. She's a mama, and managing that. Plus you have a marriage. Plus you have some other stuff going on in your life that is very exciting. So when it comes to your business, I'd like you to touch on this, because I think this is what a lot of people need to hear, because I think so many of us think of it as a struggle. Like the recent clarity that you came to in your business, as far as what you need to do to move forward with whatever it may be.
Yeah. So in Blessed Not Busy, we're going into our 3rd week. A few weeks ago, I just had this idea of, I realize, and I know all of us do it at some degree, and I know it's incredibly common, is I break promises to myself. If I set up something with you, I will show up. If I tell you I'm going to do something, I will do it. But when I do that to myself, I don't always follow through. So I have this belief that I'm not going to follow through. That's a limiting belief that I have. I'm not going to show up for myself, because, and I have the proof that I can see in my life that that's true. I also have the proof that that's not true, but we don't look at that. We look at the other one. Mm-hmm. So I started this 90-day thing. I started it in the group, and it really was not, it was really more of like, I'm going to go through this journey. Let's go through it together. And it wasn't because I had some profound answer of like how this is going to play out. And it did really start as pick a couple things, and those can kind of be your main focus. And not to say that that's changed as much, but in the whole process, it was really about letting go. Like I was like, okay, I'm going to see where this goes. I can't say I always have, but over the last couple of years with my spiritual awakening and just going through all of this, I've learned I get up in the morning and I like my quiet time. I get a cup of coffee, I journal. Now I have my oracle cards, and, I read some scripture. I do some different things, and that's my me time. And I have not been great about, I've been good about doing that part, like my gratitude, things like that. But I haven't always been great about, taking 5 minutes to meditate and going within, just, connecting with myself. And that's part of healing. And through this process, even if it's 5 minutes of me sitting in a chair and shutting my eyes and just being silent, it's 5 minutes. And we all have 5 minutes. And I don't care if you do this in your car before you come in the house. And I've been doing that more and more. And then I've been journaling. Like as I do it, I just journal and I let whatever comes out, comes out. Like I'm not trying to plan what these 13 weeks look like. This isn't a 13-week idea that like at the end of it, I'm going to like have everything I want in life and have all the answers. It's more of like, I'm taking 90 days to commit to myself, because that makes me a better version of me to then commit to myself for the next 90 days and the next 90 days and the next 90 days. Because we always have another 90 days, God willing. So through this, like I said, I kind of had an idea of what it was going to be, but wanted to kind of let go and see where it was going to lead me. And once again, like Justine said, I'm homeschooling my two kids. And when I say homeschooling, I'm not saying that like I'm doing it through the school or I bought an online program. I decided to come up, like I've picked different curriculums, like I have to do lesson plans and figure out the day. This is not something, I am not a teacher. About 15 years ago, my husband told me that I should teach. And I looked at him and I go, children? And he goes, oh God, no. He goes, I meant like at the local community college. I was like, oh, I thought you didn't know me. I thought, maybe this marriage wasn't right. Like, I meant that. So to me, like ever doing this was not even on my, never. Even last year when things shut down, I never would have told you I was doing that. Yeah. So that is a huge thing. And I've put a lot of pressure on myself. The kids and I have had to go through learning spells. I mean, there was one day last week, I think we all cried. And then 2 days later, we went on 2 field trips and it was wonderful. And today was great. So there's good and bad in it. But what it's done is that like, this has to be my priority. It does. There's nothing else. Nothing else in my life right now is more important than figuring this out, because I need to be there for my children. And I'm not doing that from a place of, I want my children to love me. I'm not doing that from another place. I'm doing that from my heart. Like I know deep down inside that this is what I need to do. And that's what this has taught me, is that I have become so much more heart-centered, and I'm cutting the other stuff out. So I was barely on social media last week, and it felt good. I didn't have that need of like, oh, I really need to be on there because I've got this business and I need to be visible and I need to do this and I need to show up for my people because I'm doing this 90-day commitment. Those thoughts came in, but then they went away quickly because I'm like, this is what I need to do. And I was so present. I was just present in the moment. I wasn't even worried. I'm not like looking at this and trying to figure out what we're doing in March. I'm literally trying to figure out like, what are we doing today and what are we doing tomorrow? Like the now. And when we weren't doing it, because we do it for, we do it probably a little bit longer than some homeschool people do, because I'm like a fly by the seat of the pants kind of gal. And if it takes 6 hours some days, it takes 6 hours because we're having fun and playing games. And if it takes 2 hours some day, it takes 2 hours. But it just felt so good. And I have always lived in the space of, like most of us, of I have these dreams, I have these goals. What, I'm always constantly in the future of like, what is next month going to be like? What's next year going to be like? What's 5 years from be? We're building on our property. And a week ago, that was also, my husband and I completely changed our building plans to make it more of what we want now. And we have spent 15 years of marriage in a set of, well, when we do this, of when we do this, of when this happens. And it robs us of the pure joy of what's happening right now in the present. And that's been my huge, huge revelation that Justine's talking about in the last week. We all know that we do that. We all know that, like, we know that exists, but when you're in that moment, and I've also realized through this whole process too, that that's the only place you find peace. If you're looking in the past, you've got regret, you've got worry that you didn't do right, you got all this other crap hanging out back there, and that doesn't even exist anymore. That past is, you can't go there, so it doesn't exist. And the future is the same. The future doesn't exist either. We have no idea what is, but we spend so much time thinking about it and worrying about it and how is it going to play out. And we do every single scenario in our head of what could possibly happen when 99.9 of those never will, because some of them are super like Hollywood crazy.
Yeah.
And it was just being like, I didn't have any of that. And it was not, I don't want to say I was forced to do it, because that's not like I felt, it wasn't like a rock bottom thing that brought me there. It was just more of a choice of just being like, screw it. This is what matters. My dishes have been horrendous in the last week, but when we sit down and have like pizza night and watch a movie as a family, my phone's in the other room. I'm not doing anything else. I got up Sunday morning early, and my son and I, as I drank coffee, watched Fox and the Hound, which, by the way, is not my favorite Disney movie. I cried. Oh, it's an awful movie.
Oh my God. I cry every time. Every time.
But I was just there because he's going to be 10 and the other one's 7. And this moment's never going to happen again.
Exactly. And as you're saying this, I'm covered in goosebumps. Because a lot of times we can tell people to do things. We can say, be positive or look at it this way, look at it that way. But until we really get what that sense of what our passion is, and we really get that dose of, okay, I got it. It's like it all comes like to fruition, because as you're talking, I'm thinking, oh my God, this is exactly what she coaches people on doing. And this is exactly what this challenge should have unfolded for you. Like we think we've got to show up. But is that what brings you joy? It might bring someone else joy. But like you being able to show people like, no, you can step away from a week and come back, and this is what you can, like, think of what you learned in the past week by putting it away,
It's funny because you say that when I was looking at my journal, like the first day of last week, what popped in my head, it was like planning for success, which is a very masculine energy, and it's something that you need to do. Like manifesting your dreams isn't all just sitting there and thinking lovely about it. You actually have to get up off your butt and do something. But like that quickly changed. And like I said, it is about happiness. That is ultimately what we all want. Every goal you want is only because you think it's going to make you feel good. You think it's going to make you feel good or better than what you do now. One of the things I teach in manifestation is about whatever that, and you know this, but whatever goal you have, why do you want that goal? What is the feeling that you're after? Because ultimately that's all you're after. If you want $1 million a year, it's not because you physically are going to sit there in a room covered in $1 million. I mean, if you do, you still are only doing that because of how it's going to make you feel to have that $1 million. Well, there's something in your life now that can make you feel like that. And that's that present moment thing of like, you're just after the emotion anyway. So what in your life now can make you feel like that? And by doing that, like, it's just so much better than working each and every day to try to get to somewhere. Because as soon as you get there, I mean, we all know it. As soon as you reach a goal, what happens? You get that pleasure high, and then you're like, ooh, what's next? Mm-hmm. Like I used to be I am still, but more actively like you were in network marketing. And I'll be honest, like when I ranked up, it was fun, But 5 seconds later, I was like, okay, what do I need to do to get the next rank?
Yeah.
Or like when you lose 5 pounds, okay, what do I need to lose to do 10 pounds? But when you watch somebody else do it, it's just pure joy. Like when
Yeah.
your kids achieve something, you're like, yay, you're not thinking about what they got to do for the next thing. It's just joy. But if you could do that for yourself and just be happy,
Right.
there's nothing wrong with you. You're exactly where you need to be right now in every moment. That's it. That's the big secret of life. We try to overcomplicate it, but that's really it. When you just realize and you can fill yourself with you, that's it.
Yeah. Oh God, I just love it. I think you should write a book on that. You're ultimately seeking that feeling. So what can you do right now to make you feel that way? Justin called me out on this the other day because I was bitching and moaning about
And I do it too.
about like being like I never leave the house. Like I'm working all day and then Peyton's home and he can just go to school full time and the house is still a mess and he's like, Justine, you got everything you wanted. You got everything. You're working from home now. You have more time for your business. We have, more time with the kids. And I'm like, well, sure shit. I'm sitting here complaining about what I've been manifesting for the past year and a half. So it's like, for that person who is just can't, she knows what she wants. And I want to show this comment before I forget. She knows what she wants, but she just can't tap into that happy feeling. Where does she start?
Do you mean are you asking like how do you figure out like what that feeling would be if you get it, or how to get it now?
Like
Go on.
However you want to take it. I think either way.
Well, I think part of the reason that we don't feel happy now or feel good now, and part of it is there's a couple things. I'll talk about toxic positivity. I know this is a hot topic right now, especially with COVID, spiritual world and stuff, but it's true. Like I'll be honest, my spiritual awakening, not that it started with watching the movie The Secret, but like when I watched that movie 5-6 years, whenever it was, like that blew my mind. I was like, wow, like this is it. And I just dove into that rabbit hole. I mean, I read all the books that were based on it. I'm reading books from over 100 years ago and absorbing everything and loving it. And so much of it is still true today. But as we go through time, and that's why I liked reading the original books, because the original books, there's a lot more to them. Mm-hmm. But I think it's like over time, we get to this thing of like, we need to package something spiritually or as, manifesting world or whatever, or like to sell something in any sort of business to where it's simple and to where and to sell something oftentimes in the advertising world and in those worlds, they need you to know that you feel bad about yourself so that what I have, you can feel good about yourself. And so they do this whole thing of like, well, you don't have your life because you're just not positive enough. You don't have that because you're not good enough. You don't have this because you haven't done that. And is there some truth to small parts of that? But there's a difference. Like when you talked about complaining, I don't care unless you're like truly enlightened, you're going to have days that you complain. You're going to have days that you don't look and see every blessing that's in front of you. But there's a difference between, and listen to the difference, because we all know it. 5-6 years ago, I had so many things that were incredible in my life, and I bitched about stuff constantly. Mm-hmm. And I was surrounded by people that bitched about stuff constantly. And see, I think that's the difference. When you're a constant complainer, which so many people are, and I used to be, I'm guilty of it, there's a difference between that and then being able to over time grow and change into somebody who sees the blessings in your life. Like that's why I think daily gratitude is so important. Does it mean that you're never going to have a bad moment? No. And it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean you're never going to have a bad moment. It doesn't mean that you're never going to not be grateful when you're going to mess up when you should be grateful for something and you're taking it the wrong way. You're going to have those moments, but there's a difference between having those moments and like constantly living in that.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's the transition that people need to live, that they think that, oh my God, I wasn't positive for 10 seconds. So everything in my life. And it's like, no, you have, like I talked about trauma. I think so many people want to skip over that part. They want to skip over the healing. They want to skip. There is a different, they're like, well, I can't live in the past. There's a difference between living in your past and realizing that you have a past that you need to heal from. There is a distinct difference. And so when you're not being able to find that happiness, figure out kind of where you are. And if you are complaining all the time, call yourself out. Like, call yourself out on your own BS. Like, and own it. Be like, yep, that's me. And then from that place is where you can grow. Because you can't grow from living in the past. And I meant physically, like, your day is, if you have a Groundhog Day where you are just living the same day over and over again, that's living in the past, because it's just you taking whatever happened yesterday, applying it to the now, which it really has nothing to do with, and then living that over again.
Right.
But when you can shift that perspective, cut out the busyness, realize that you're blessed, heal the crap that you need to heal, it's freeing. And so I think that's it. We want this immediate happiness. And so, for instance, one of my things that I want to do is I have some certain goals with my business. And actually, I have like 3 or 4 goals. I have a weight goal. I don't remember what all 3 of them are, but I know I've got a business goal and a weight goal, and I don't remember what the other one is. But ultimately, when I look at all those, I want those things because I want to feel successful. That's it. Like, I know that's the feeling. Because that feeling of success, my definition with that is that also relates to happiness. It means I've achieved something. It means I've done something. So when I do that, but then I can think back like, well, what is something I can do today to make me feel successful? Or what have I done in the past that proves to me that I can be successful? And when I had posted something in Blessed Not Busy, and it's a picture, and I know everyone says like post your goals, and I'm not against that, but I think sometimes when we constantly post our goals and see them every day, it's this constant reminder of what we don't have. Mm-hmm. And then you're living like, then that's that reminder, and then you're not going to have it because you're constantly reminding yourself you don't have it. And then reality goes, okay, you don't have it. I'm not going to give it to you. Yeah. But if you post this, but in the thing I wrote, like, committing to yourself is the greatest gift you can give yourself. And then in that, I have you people write like, what's the emotion that you want from this? And mine's success. And I know to be successful every day, when I write down the few things I want to do that day and show up for myself and commit to myself, that gives me a feeling of being successful. And that's it. Then I'm already successful. There we are. And those will slowly lead then to the ultimate goals that I desire. I'm not saying I'm not still going after those goals. It's just not so consumable because it helps you not have that constant reminder of, well, I don't have it. I don't have it. I don't have it. Right. Which leads to the complaining, which leads to not feeling worthy, which leads to the negativity. It's that rabbit hole. Don't go down that rabbit hole. Go down the other one, the fun one where Alice is having a party with the Mad Hatter. That's more fun.
Yes, it is, with the cookies and everything.
Yeah.
I know. Jackie, it's just, it blows my mind because I know so many people struggle with this. And
well, we did. I mean, that's the whole thing. Like, when I talk to people, I have to remind them, like, I'm not talking down to you. I get it. The reason I can say this is because I've been there. I'm just not there anymore, which is why we can help others out.
Exactly. Like, and it's okay to not be okay someday.
Yeah.
It's okay to feel and sit in that. I remember when we were working together, just having those days of like, I'm not here. And I would say to you guys, like, I don't want to show up in this energy because I'm just not feeling it. I'm not with it today. And that's okay. And I think we just put so much pressure on ourselves to be this perfect when it's not doing anyone any good to force something that that's not bringing you joy.
And I think, and what people don't understand is that they're so worried about not looking perfect to somebody else or not looking like they have it together. I always say that if especially like a mom, if you have a mom friend that you think she has it all together or she says she does, she's lying. Every one of us is a hot mess at some level. She may have part of her life that you don't have together, But then there's some like back closet, like on Friends, when you open Monica's closet that no one's ever opened and all of her crap falls out. We all have that closet.
Yep.
Okay. So like, yeah, I mean, my house is a mess. My dishes have been a mess. My kids are educated. Like
Yeah.
you can't do everything in the essence of like all the day, like things got to give. You can achieve everything. You can bring all that stuff that you want into your life. But like you said, I think what happens, and what you said was a perfect example of it, of you manifested everything you wanted. It's just sometimes we think it's supposed to arrive in a certain package.
Yep.
It's kind of like when the Amazon delivery guy shows up. He shows up and it's this box that's like 10 times the size. And you're like, what the hell did I order? And then you get in there and it's like a package of Post-its. But meanwhile, my kids can physically get in the box and tape themselves up. And you're like, what the? So it doesn't always come in the package that we think. And then we think it's wrong. And it's like, no, you just put the order in of what you want and how, and then God's like, all right, I'm going to give it to you, but it's going to come the way it comes the way it best fits you. Because you don't get the big picture. We can't look. I always talk about God and the universe. To me, they're the same, whatever language you want. But I had this pastor one time that put it perfectly. He said, a God that you fully understand is a God lesser than you. So we'll never fully understand the universe. We're not meant to. We'll never fully understand God's thing. We're not meant to, because that means that being that created all of us, however you believe, that you are co-creating with each and every day, would be less than you for you to fully understand it.
Yeah, totally.
And so we got to let that go. Like that's the letting go part.
Yeah. And just knowing that we will be okay on the other end. 100%.
Are you okay now? Most of us are. I mean,
right.
I've had true tragedy in my life that sucks, but I was okay. And I'm still better off than some people, even when you're going through that. Like when you have a bad day, stop and think to yourself, if this is the worst thing that's happening to me today, is it really a bad day? I mean, there's people having like the worst days of their life. There's people losing children and loved ones, or realizing that they have some terminal disease at that moment that you're pissed because you got a flat tire.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's okay that you get pissed that you have a flat tire. It's another thing if you spend 3 days telling everyone about it, complaining about it. That's the difference.
Right. Yeah. It's the victim. Things happening to me versus for me.
Yes.
And that's another live for a whole nother day.
But it's just a journey. And that's what, like, just being present in this moment, it's
beautiful. You do beautiful work, my friend. I am so stinking proud of you. I'm
just so happy that God brought us together.
I know. Just your growth, like it's mind blowing, because I mean, you've always been fantastic, but you're showing up in this light where you just are glowing, and your family is benefiting from this version of you, and you're still working on you. And it's beautiful. So where can these ladies find you?
Well, I'm on Facebook. I'm doing better at Instagram. And, but inside Facebook, I have a group called Blessed Not Busy, and that's our community. And I'm under the same name on Instagram. So yeah, the more, the merrier.
Beautiful group.
I want to thank you, because you have been endlessly supportive of me. And I just want to thank you so much for that. So
you are so welcome. It's been, they say when you are like just release, you find your dream clients. And that's really where I feel like I've been over the past like 8 months. Is my soul clients have come to me in the most beautiful way. And once I finally stopped like putting your outcome on myself and just being like, what is it? What is it? I was talking to someone the other night about TikTok, and she was seeking the answers, but I don't have the answers. She's already got the answers. And that's so true for you too. And as hard as it is to let things happen, the most beautiful things come out of it. So it's been an absolute honor to witness this, and your flockers and all of you. Jackie loves
I
flamingos.
love my beautiful flockers. Yes, and Justine probably might remember this, but when I was putting together Blessed Not Busy, I actually had the same color scheme as you, and I had pineapples before I ever met you.
Yep.
And I live in Ohio. You're in Minnesota. We didn't know each other. I found you through another Facebook group, and we grew up like 90 minutes from each other, maybe not even. And anyway, we were going through this thing, and flamingos popped in my head. And the reason I picked them out is because like they're beautiful and they're fun, but yet they're elegant, and they are graceful, but yet they're like extremely crazy and awkward. Which I'm like, that's me. But they also like their nature is to be part of this community. Like they support each other through community. And another like weird thing is that they're pink because of what they eat. And I kind of took that as like everything that we consume as humans is what comes out on the outside. So if you're consuming crap and negative stuff all day, that's what comes out. So if you're consuming good things and are surrounded by good things in your flock, then that's what's going to be beautiful. You're going to be this beautiful, like flamingo standing on one leg, and then if you're me, toppling over.
I know. I see flamingos, and it's like I think of you. It's just a perfect.
Kind of like the pineapple thing but I got my pineapple back there. And this is
oh my darling. Well,
I've got like why do I have?
Oh my gosh, you need to wear those. Why didn't you wear those for this?
Yeah, I don't. I've got more. Yeah, my hot mess. Not hiding it.
No way. You should. We have our baseball card stuff in here now, so you don't even want to see what's on the other end of this camera. It's like, ooh. But I appreciate you so much. Would you drop the link to Blessed Not Busy and whatever links you have in the comments? And this was beautiful.
I appreciate your time.
So good. I'm going to have you back here because I'm sure we'll have that moment where we're like, again. So we all might need a little reminder.
Jackie. We all get like that. I do too. That's not
I know. All right. Well, thank you so much. And we will see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.
All right.